What's up, guys? It's David coming at you from David Price Books with a review of a story which I had been meaning to read, and I finally got a chance to. And you know, with characters near and dear to my heart. If you don't know, I'm a huge Batman fan, and this is a story about Batman, but also about more than just Batman, and it was a dark story. So we're looking at today at The Batman Who Laughs. This is the deluxe edition. This came out recently, so I wanted to read it. We've had the trade paperback, I believe, but this is a deluxe hardcover that came out. Let me show you that real quick. We probably had that in our first look earlier. Here's the front, here's the spine, here is the back. Let me show you underneath. It's basically the same thing, almost. Basically a picture of The Batman Who Laughs. Very cool. And let me first impressions of the book. It was great. If you're a Batman fan, if you want to know more about, especially the Batman Who Laughs, it was good. It's dark. I want to say it's a heavy story. I feel like it's basically Batman being tortured. But you know what? Let me show you. Let me go inside of it, and then I will give you my opinion as I go through it. So again, this is a review of it. If you haven't read it, I would say look for a first look somewhere, just a quick what it looks like. But I'm going to give you a deep dive on it and my opinion on it. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so let's take a look. Now, this is written by Scott Snyder, and part of it is also written by James Tynion IV. If you don't know who he is, check out Once and Future King. He's great at writing that. James Tynion also Scott Snyder basically created Batman, the Batman Who Laughs, through his run of not only Batman but also through Dark Knight's Metal, the DC event, as well as he's also in part of Dark Knight's Death Metal. So if you haven't read those out, check those out as well. And he's basically wrote a huge, long-spanning storyline that has to do with metal, or dark metal, which is from the dark universe of DC, where this character comes out of. So if you have to read that out or check it out, I would say definitely do it, because it's interesting. So part of what makes this guy so bad, or the Batman Who Laughs, is the fact that he's Batman that got infected with Joker toxin in his universe. So in that universe, whenever the Joker dies, he releases a toxin that will infect whoever kills him. At that point, it was Batman. And basically, it's the purest form of the Joker toxin that made him go crazy, and he basically killed his entire family and took over the universe that he was in. And he came over to our universe through Barbados and to take over this universe, but he was defeated, of course, by Batman and the Justice League. So, of course, that's actually part of Dark Knight's Metal. This is continuation of it, so it's actually part of the main DC universe. So even though it's a one-off story of the Batman Who Laughs, it actually is still part canon, or it is canon of the prime DC universe that all the stories are based, or take place. So we kind of see Batman chasing these guys who are taking houses, and there's a reason for that. It kind of shows Batman just kind of being Batman, of course. And they were taking a tomb, so he opens it, he scans it, and it's basically Bruce Wayne. So they're like making sure, and he's like, yeah, biologically it's Bruce Wayne, but this one is younger, it has less scars, so that he's basically saying it has less scars. This is, of course, him dressed up as in the morgue. Well, it's really Bruce Wayne. Main Batman. I'm gonna call him main Batman. Then we jump over to Arkham Asylum, and they're like, oh, look, it's Batman. And then Batman starts killing people, as you see here. And they're like, what's wrong with you, Batman? And then he's like, doesn't say anything. He just starts killing people, shooting at them. This is Freeze. He basically shoots Freeze with a flamethrower. And then he comes after the Joker, and he basically tells him, oh, so you're here to kill me? And this guy says no. And we see where it says, but I am, and it's basically the Joker Who Laughs. And this guy cuts, or slams an axe into his head. And we see James Gordon telling main Batman, our Batman, hey, listen, this happened here. Now, that wasn't the real Joker. The Joker had put in a doppelganger or put in a decoy, and that guy got killed. We don't know where the Joker is, so Batman has to go look for him. But he kind of, being Batman, he of course kind of is a little bit a step ahead of everybody. So he's like, I know where he's at. Take away the defenses through the cave system, and the Joker comes out there, and Batman kind of stops him, or he is gonna shoot him with a gun, but then basically it shoots himself. He kind of shoots himself with like a fake gun, and he dies in a sense there, and then Batman gets infected with the virus basically, because he was at the closest, close proximity to him. Over here you have Alfred, saving the Joker, and Batman is basically taking all of the anti-Joker serum that he has to basically counteract the final Joker toxin. And then we see the continuation of what's going on with the Batman Who Laughs. There's other Bruce Waynes that are falling, so this is another Bruce Wayne from another universe. And here's our Batman dressed up as Harvey Bullock to kind of get information. And then the Joker Who Laughs heads over to Wayne Tower, and Batman kind of tells Commissioner Gordon, I know what he's going to do. I have a contingency plan called Last Laugh. So basically what it would do is it would cut off all of Gotham from any any way to access the town, and this was in case some sort of some virus or something, like the city was poisoned. It basically cuts off the city and releases drones that'll release the serum, or like a vaccine, and it also infects the water, so everybody can be cured of whatever it is. But it can, I guess the Batman Who Laughs is going to go ahead and use it to infect everybody with his toxin that'll make them basically the darkest versions of themselves. And then Batman's over there like, I created a new fighting move. Since you're me, I can't fight you with regular techniques, so I create a new fighting move just to fight you. And the Joker Who Laughs is like, oh, that's cool, nice. But, I have my own contingency plan against you, which is this Joker, or this Batman who shot him over here. So this is basically called the Grim Knight. And it's in a Batman, it's a Batman who, in his universe, he uses guns and he has complete control of the city. And so Batman says, I need help. He's trying to get the Jokers alive, and he's like, we need help to figure out who what his next step is going to do. So they get the help of James Gordon's junior son, who is a psychopathic killer, who has also been, I guess he had been rehabilitated in a way, and he was being watched over. But he's a psychopath as well, and you have to go back, way back into Batman's history to find out about him. So that's actually really interesting that they brought him into it. And he's like, we need your help. We need you to think how you used to think to help us find out how he's going to attack. And he's kind of refusing to, because he has a new life. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore, Dad. Or Batman. Batman's like, you're going to do it. And then we find out that the Grim Knight is chasing down James Gordon. And now they think it's the son. But turns out that he was wanting to basically take James Gordon to Dad. And then we see here the Batman Who Laughs is fighting the Penguin here, and he actually says something that's really cool here. It's pretty funny. He says, if most realities they think that Batman's last enemy on most worlds is going to be the Riddler or the Joker or Ra's al Ghul, but it's actually Cobblepot. He grows a crime empire until he has to you grow this crime empire until he has to deal with you. On some worlds you win. Get folks to turn on him, but on couple he wins. So it's actually really interesting, because I think the Penguin is an underrated villain. He's like, you think it's like, this fat little guy, but he actually is a crime kingpin, and he has a lot of sway in Gotham City. So it's really cool that he used him. This is another Batman, or another Bruce Wayne that's basically a rich old Bruce Wayne that's a crime boss. And he's grabbing all of these Bruce Waynes for his final plan, and I'll show that to you later too. So then, James agrees to help Batman to find his dad, and Batman decides to, at this point, says like the only way to focus the serum or the toxins are working on him, so he has to find a way to focus. So he basically designs the same helmet like the Batman Who Laughs, so he can focus, see that stuff. So you see him slowly turning into this Batman Who Laughs, and he's trying to fight it as best as he can, but it's like slowly him turning into this. And then this is basically a kind of an interlude where we see about the Grim Knight. And I thought it was really, really good. I really did enjoy it because you see kind of this, he tells you his backstory that he saw his parents get killed here. And basically the robber fell over and dropped the gun. So he grabbed the gun and basically used it to kill this guy, the guy who killed his parents. And from that point, he took over the entire city. He killed all of the criminals. And, he burned them. He shot them. And so the cops were trying to crack down on him. But he took over all the tech as well, so he used it to like kill the police or anybody who was going after him. And so basically James Gordon went into hiding in his universe and was able to get the FBI to put out a warrant, an arrest for Bruce Wayne, and he figured out that it was Bruce Wayne, and he actually took him down publicly. So like publicly he took down Bruce Wayne, James Gordon on this universe, and made prosecuted him for who he was. So that's why this Grim Knight in this universe is going after James Gordon, because it's like, you were my best friend and you brought me down, so I'm going to make sure that you suffer because you're Batman's best friend in a way. And then we have here Batman's kind of like, he's just kind of remembering stuff, seeing if they need help from Robin, and he's like, no, I only need you, Alfred. And we kind of just see him trying to fight the Joker. I keep calling him the Joker, but it's the Batman Who Laughs. It's the Batman Who Laughs using like, he's going to poison the waterway, but there's nobody there. What are we going to do? What's going on? And he's like, we have to basically follow the dark metal to figure out what's going on. So that's why he keeps using the helmet. And he uses to go to, I think this is Bloodhaven? Blackgate prison. And then when you're there, you see that the Batman Who Laughs was kind of expecting that, and he also sets off the Robin bat things to attack James Gordon. And so he basically is turning everybody against Batman. So Batman has to use his knowledge of the people who work there. He's like, hey, Officer Gantz, how's your mother? Or, how are they? So they kind of realize that it's actually him, and they let him go. And then finally James manages to catch up to his dad, and he saves him. And then the Batman Who Laughs basically goes after the Court of Owls. Here he's like asking for their help because he wants a small favor, and they're like, no, we're going to have the Talons kill you. But turns out he had been expecting that. He cut off the Talons' arms, and he goes after all of the Court of Owls. He throws them out here. Basically, the only thing he wanted them was to hear them scream. And basically, he brings out another one of the Batman. This is the Batman who took over the Court of Owls, or Bruce Wayne took Court of Owls, so he kills him. So he's been killing all of the Bruce Waynes in the city from other all the other universes. So basically he wanted to turn Gotham into not like a city to defend itself, but as a fortress to conquer the rest of the world. And he's like, that had been the history of it. And this whole time he's been turning into, the Batman Who Laughs. So like the Batman Who Laughs has the dark lettering or black background with red letters, as you can see here. While Batman, for example, still has in most of his the white with the black, but then a little bit of red, as you see there. And as he's been, getting infected by this virus, it's been slowly taking over his blood. And Alfred's been monitoring him, and he's like, you can't let it get to, past 10%, or at that point there's no way to turn back. And here the Joker, the Batman Who Laughs is like, you have to look at it through my eyes. So, and another really cool thing that I like. And then basically whenever he's talking here, his letters start changing from earlier. If you notice, let me just move it back here real quick. See, at the beginning, this is Batman talking, right? So it's gray with the white letters, and then it keeps, you'll start seeing like a little red pop out whenever he talks. Let me just point point out another one so you can see it. So like he'll be talking to Alfred, or he'll be talking to James Gordon, and he'll say something, and then like it'll be like a little bit of red turning into his text speech, and then finally here like you'll see some like mostly red with a little bit of I. So those actually contain little hidden messages that is throughout the whole book about the story, which is really, really cool. I thought that was an additional step I really admired about that. And then, so basically, let's go back to the story. At this point, the Batman Who Laughs is basically telling him, you are the darkest Batman. You are the worst Batman. All these other Batman that I'm getting are happy somehow. They've either taken over, they finished the job, they either are, chose to not be Batman, they decided to go somewhere else, they decided to be family men, or run for mayor, or, even a crime boss. At least he's happy, he's taken control. But you're the worst Batman. You haven't done anything for it, and you're worse than me. So, he's basically trying to twist him from the inside out. And you use the goggles and you can see the worst aspect of everybody. And Batman's like slowly going crazy this whole time, like he's drooling. Here is another Batman. I believe this one's the one who either became mayor or the president or something like that, and he has his whole family with him, and he shows up at the universe, or in their universe. So they're coming through. So this is where he's telling him like all of these guys are happy, while you're the worst Batman of all, or like and then here Batman gave the Gordons access to his suits, so they're going to use that to fight these guys. And then here we see some more, as you can see, like the lettering that I really thought was good. And during this whole thing, he's been getting more and more infected, turning into the Batman Who Laughs. And they finally fight here. And while the Gordons are fighting the Grim Knight, who is their bad guy basically. And as Batman's fighting the Dark Knight, or the Batman Who Laughs, he's been slowly turning into him. Let's see here. Here, basically, the Joker, or the Batman Who Laughs, needs to drain or get some blood as soon as he turns into the other Batman Who Laughs. So that's what he's been waiting for, and he stabs him right through the heart, basically, to get that serum. So he was waiting for him to turn into him, so that he could grab that serum. And this is where, like, the virus had already taken over like 99% of his bloodstream. So that's what he was waiting for, to use that to turn the whole city. And while he's doing that, he's like, "Now I'm going to kill you." And here, he had dropped some of the serum into the water. And so he's like, "Now I'm going to kill myself," and basically, to do that, since he was going to be the new Batman Who Laughs, he didn't have to be there anymore, so he's going to kill himself. But before he does that, he shoots Batman. He's like, "I know you were tricking me." Turns out Batman was still sane, still himself. And this is the Bruce Wayne. This is basically, in the story, the happiest Bruce Wayne, which is basically he's a little boy. So he's like, that's the happiest Bruce Wayne in all the universes, all the multiverse. And here, James had been slowly turning bad, and he was going to let the Grim Knight kill his dad, but he turns back into, himself. And then Alfred comes out and shoots the Batman Who Laughs. And, our Batman is still fighting him. He basically he set up a trap and electrocutes him, basically traps him. And then he's using, this is kind of dark, he's using his mom's tombstone to beat him up, like really like wail on him, as you see there. And then over here, James is fighting the Grim Knight and taking him down. And let me see. So he basically kills him. Like James Jr. kills the Grim Knight, and saves his dad and kind of saves the city, while the Batman, our Batman, and he's about to kill the Batman Who Laughs. Like he's right here about to kill him, like all the way. Even Alfred is like, "You need to stop." when he's about to, the Joker shows up and shoots him. And the reason he shoots him is because he had told earlier the Joker that if I ever completely turn into this guy, into the Batman Who Laughs, you need to stop me. And the Joker was like, okay. And that's why he's saying you're welcome, because he did it. And then here we see he's already turning back into, back into the regular Bruce Wayne, because he used the little boy, the little Bruce Wayne at his happiest. They used his blood, which kind of purified his bloodstream from the Joker toxin, which is actually pretty interesting. And then he was sent back to his universe, so that's cool. And what's funny is as you're reading it, like he's talking back in his regular, bubble text, but he has a little bit of the red on there, so it actually gives you a message on there as well. So that's actually really cool. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to read it or get the book if you want to kind of get those hints at it. And it just shows here that the Batman Who Laughs is in the dungeon of the Hall of Justice, so he's still alive. And Batman is kind of like, yeah, I may be the worst Batman, but I'm always getting back up. So out of all the other Batman, even though they, took their, they changed how they were or whatever, he always gets back up, basically. He might be the worst, but he's the one that always gets back up to continue to make the choice. He's the defiant one, basically. And that's really cool. So it definitely puts a new light on Batman. Here we have James. He went back to his, I guess, his program that was kind of letting him live a normal life, but he's still being monitored. And, he's thanking his dad for that. And then we see here, he's just kind of contemplating about being Batman and what he achieved. And then we see that here that James Gordon got infected with a little bit of the Batman Who Laughs toxin, which is really cool because it actually continues in Batman and Superman. So the story basically continues in the rest of the actual DC universe, and this is before Year of the Villain, and it also is before Dark Knight's Death Metal. So it's really cool that this is actually canon in the story, but there's some more extras here. So while I show you the extras, I'm going to give you my opinion. I thought it was a dark Batman story, just because Bruce Wayne takes such a beating, not only physically from having somebody who knows all his fighting styles, but also doesn't have his moral code of ethics. But he also gets teamed up by the grim Batman, so he gets shot a lot. And he's also tortured mentally because, the Batman Who Laughs is basically Bruce Wayne. Without, like I said, his moral ethics, so he's able to just be honest with him. He's like, I'm you, I am you. There's nobody who knows you better. I know all your plans. I know all of what you do, and you're the worst one of all of us. And he plays on not only with him but with Alfred and with James Gordon. So it's definitely I feel like a very personal attack on Batman, our Batman, and I feel like he got tortured a lot, especially with him being injected with the venom or the Joker venom or toxin, Joker toxin, and him having to deal with that, so he's not able to fully fight him. But Joker did that, so Joker did that on purpose so that he would be able to fight the Batman Who Laughs with at least a little bit of his kind of mentality, of the Joker mentality, which he needed. So we get to see that, but I just feel like Batman feels like, man, like it just goes against everything he stands for in a way. So I felt like he was tortured a lot. Like, I know he's had hard fights before, but I felt like this guy is such a direct opposite of what Batman stands for, because it technically is Bruce Wayne in his darkest. And I think it really hurts Batman to see how he turned out, how he would turn into this guy. How it's just a little bit before he turns into that. And yeah, like I said, dark. After this story, I felt heavy, like in my soul, in my Batman soul. I'm like, oh, bro, I feel for you, Bruce Wayne. Our Batman had to deal with a bunch of seeing the consequences and seeing all these other. Also, that was another torture, I think, is seeing he was able to see other Bruce Waynes and what they were able to do, where they had kids, grandkids, where they married Catwoman, Selina Kyle, some that became, mayors, some that became kingpins, all of these different Batman or Bruce Waynes, he was able to see them and it kind of shed a light on his own decisions and what he's done. And I felt that was also actually a heavy burden that the Batman Who Laughs put on his shoulders. So that was another psychological tool that he used. So definitely a dark moment for Batman, our Batman. And I wasn't into the artwork because it's Jock. If you don't know who Jock is, he's done some other Batman stories where it's very as you can see, even as the story goes, it's like normal, and then later on it just starts to get crazy, like the background, the coloring, and all that. But also the art style. Like here, look how the Joker Who Laughs, look how he looks. Like he's a full-on monster, like right there. So the art style took a little for me to get used to, but once you get to the end, I really appreciated it because you kind of see this descent into madness that our Batman is going into because he's infected with it, but he's not fully the Batman Who Laughs. So I appreciate it a lot more the further the story goes on. Of course, there's great artists who do Batman like Greg Capullo, and some of the covers were done by different Batman artists who have done it before. So we get to see some of that. But I think Jock was a great choice to use for the artist on this story because especially at the end where he's going crazy like this, he does a great exaggerated styles that work really well with the darkness. Like this, when he's going insane, it works really well with Jock's style. So I appreciate it. Like I said, I didn't like it at the beginning. At the end here, I appreciate his effort into it because it's Batman basically going down this path, almost of no return, dealing with a character who basically did already go through that. So it's really cool to see that. And David Finch does great Batman stuff as well. So seeing that, it was crazy seeing the different Batman as well, like this, the Grim one as well. Very interesting. It's characters that I kind of want to see how Batman would deal with the Joker, the Batman Who Laughs by himself. So you get to see that here, not like with the Justice League, but just Batman by himself. Very interesting story, very cool story for Batman. Very dark story, like I said, especially with some of the decisions he has to make. I would highly recommend it to read it if you are a Batman fan, but you definitely have to have the background for it. I would say reading some of Dark Knight Metal that introduces you to this character is a good plot point. James Gordon Jr., you kind of, if I didn't know who he was, I'd be like, oh, I kind of want to know what's going on with him, what's his history. I knew about him, I knew that he had been stopped by his dad, and that's why he's kind of like a little messed up. So seeing that on the book itself was really cool. Like I said, I would recommend it. But like I said, it's one of those books that right after, now I'm kind of looking for something light to read that's not as heavy as this book emotionally. So there you go, guys. Again, Batman Who Laughs by Scott Snyder. This is the deluxe edition. We believe we have this one, and we have the trade paperback as well. So get it at Organic Priced Books. Let me know what you thought of this story. I will see you guys in the next one.